Double O.
Champion.
What's up, brother?
Doing good, boss.
All right. We are live here, man. Top of the morning to you, sir. Come on now.
Yes,
Monday
sir.
morning activity, bro. Love it. Let's
do
see
it.
who's up early today. Right, it's one moment here. Oh man, what a time, man. Do you think Bitcoin is gonna keep moving down right now? Because I need this 10K situation to happen, man. So we can start.
Hey, I'm looking at the chats right now, man. I can't wait to show you guys what we're seeing. It's making a fight, but you know the last few fights it's had, it failed. So I think they still got more weapons against us that they're gonna throw at us, which might cost that they're talking about.
Absolutely.
But Bitcoin is still holding, man. They've thrown everything at it, and it's still holding strong. So
Hey,
keep
man.
bringing it.
They can keep trying. Well, you know, that's interesting because as everyone is getting on here, man, one thing I would like us to talk about, man, I'd like for us to just review sort of a recount, right? Go back and take a look at what has been happening, why we're here in the first place. Because, you know, the thing is, the reason why we're even doing this whole thing, the reason why we're here is because we all agree as a society that there's a problem we needed to fix, which is money, obviously. And over time, right, we've seen that there's been a lot more that has come to the market, right? Altcoins and everything else.
Yeah,
And a
stablecoins.
lot of coins that, especially during the bull market, coins that you know, all sorts of claims about this is going to be the Bitcoin killer and so on and so forth. Now, which is fine. You know, I think that it is good to have aspirations. But, you know, when you're in the battlefield, sometimes you will not always see everything that is going down. So,
You don't.
exactly.
You gotta fight whatever this is right there in front of you, man.
Exactly.
You want to
right?
survive
So-
the battle.
So it's good to take a step back sometimes and just look at an overview of the whole situation, you know, and see what's going on there. So I think we should kind of go through that today. Talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, the entire kitchen sink that have been thrown at Bitcoin.
Yeah. Lots of tests being thrown at Bitcoin and the crypto market this year in general.
Yes,
We have some people watching, 9 people. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, guys. Let us know if you can hear us, you know. Just drop a chat. Let us know you can hear us. So
Let's go.
here's the thing, man. Where do we even begin? From since the beginning of this year, essentially, right? We have
Started
seen
last year.
well,
Fall.
actually, since last year, or really when the craze started, right? A lot of new retail investors have been in the market, and you know they join. You kind of get into the crypto space because of all the promises that all of these coins are making, right?
Yeah.
And as it
People wanna
turns
get
out,
rich
you know,
quick.
exactly, as it turns out, it's not the case for most of these coins. And one of the main issues that we've always been trying to solve is this centralization problem, right? And we can see how that is failing right now. We've seen a bunch of cryptos go out. You see something like Luna, right? Scammers. You see something like Hex. Who knows what that is, right? And everything else. Crypto exchanges blowing up. And of course, all of this is not just happening. Some of it is direct attacks, whether it's by traditional institutions onto the crypto space and so on and so forth. So what do you think so far? And let's just look at how do you think Bitcoin is holding up compared to everything else that is going on?
Yeah. So allow the professor in me to come out. You know, I'm
come
a
on
little bit of a history buff, right? And folks are like, why should I invest in Bitcoin or why should I invest in crypto? Well, you're watching this show to know exactly why. And like you said, the goal of this show today is to show you everything done against Bitcoin and why. So historically, the central banks, right? How did the central banks get created? Let's just say 1669, then eventually 1700s. The Swedish bank was the first initiative at centralization of banking. This is when we all lost our freedom to our money, to our energy, to our wealth. We gave it out, literally, and it started in Europe. And then, long story short, because I know we got like 20 minutes, I'm going to try to go through this really quick because I'm about to give you a history lesson. Anyway, Anyway, come to the Great Recession, Great Depression in the 1929 to 1939.
Right.
That again happens to what the central banks and the federal banks cost. They started, messing around with this old money system. Oh, we're going to increase interest rates, and then by the time they increase interest rate, it caused a dramatic impact to the markets, to employment, to to access to funds, to loans, and that destroys the market. Literally, since the central banks, we've had this interesting cycles in the bank, in the banking system, right?
Yeah.
And then we had we had another recession in the 1800s.
Right.
In the 1980s, early 1980s, and that was due to the fact that Nixon took us off the gold standard. What is the gold standard? Gold standard allows the government to live within a budget, to spend money within a budget. When you take that out and you just say you're just going to print digital money or print paper money, then it creates for this faster increase in inflations, in inflation, in the cost of your money. So the value of your money goes down real quick. And these are the things that Bitcoin is trying to solve. So in the early 80s, we had that similar issue because we got off standards. They printed more money. Same thing that happened in the Great Depression happened again in the 1980s. This is global impact, man. This is like all these countries are connected, right?
Yeah,
we had the 2008 situation again, right, where the entire banking system almost failed. And this is why Bitcoin got created. So if you're investing in Bitcoin, you're not trying to get rich quick, because it's like you are that monkey in the cage. And because you've been in the cage so long, you think that the federal banks and the central banks are doing the right thing. And, you listen to these economic figures telling you, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. That's because you've been in that cage for so long. You don't need to you don't question what life was about or was like without them. But Bitcoin now allows you to ask those questions like, does life really have to be this way? So now that Bitcoin is here and is challenging them, they're throwing the entire kitchen sink against it. And there's a long list of the things that we're trying to do right now to destroy Bitcoin.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. I agree with you there. It's an incredible time. Definitely. Just jump right into it. I'm just going to add.
All right.
It's an incredible time because there's two things. I just want to touch on two things that you mentioned there, right? You spoke about just the inflation itself. And I think the use case for Bitcoin, when we look at inflation, obviously America has the lowest inflation at this point in time, which is still very horrible inflation for where we are.
It's made up too, though, because they're not including energy cost and food costs.
Yeah, it is made up. Which is also the other thing, which I actually might as well bring up my point about that right now. When you look at CPI data and things like that, it's information that is manipulated all the time. So how can you actually make a proper decision or a logical decision, right, when the information that you're being given is not even accurate, right? Then you have other countries where inflation is much higher. It seems that the higher the inflation, the people start to realize the use case of Bitcoin even sooner. You can see that by, let's say, like Nigeria, for example, right? They say there's more urgency because Bitcoin is working for people as we saw real time. We were in this spaces yesterday on Twitter with the guys from Bitcoin in Nigeria, which is incredible stuff they're doing. Let's read some comments after this, by the way. They're doing a lot of incredible things in Nigeria, from education and just trying to make sure that the infrastructure is there and people understand how they can use these things, right? So I can't wait to work with those guys. But it shows that outside of America, right, the situation is very different, because sometimes people here are just going to buy Bitcoin and then talk about it on Twitter and talk about when the price is going to go up. If Bitcoin was $1, the function would still be the same, right? So I'll let you jump into it. Can I jump in right there?
This whole inflation issue, right? When America has inflation, the developing countries or the poorer countries, let's just call them poorer countries, have a bigger impact on them because of they take the loans from the IMF and the World Bank in the US dollar. And now, because of inflation, the cost of their loan gets higher. They can never pay off that debt. So that's a big issue right there. But let's jump right into it. We only have 10 minutes left.
We're going to read some comments here and then we can move on. We have Shota Zulu. I like that name. Shota Zulu. He said, what's up, champion?
What's up?
Let's go. All right. Jake Fever says, yo, what's up, dog? How you feeling, player? The recycling guy. What's up? Knowledge. Come on, man. That's what we do, man. What we can do is drop
20 minutes is not enough to give out all the knowledge, bro.
Then we have Ghetto Crypto. Top of the hood, people. Top of the hill to you,
Jesus.
brother. You know what I mean? We have Hardik Demon. I haven't seen Hardik Demon in a while. What's up, player?
I tell you, man, I like that name.
Exactly. The blockchain is bringing wealth to those whom didn't have a chance to advance.
Yes, sir.
Facts. Bitcoin is. Also, it's Bitcoin. Yeah. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. So first on the list is media fraud. So since the creation of Bitcoin, they've been scaring people the hell out to the point that they say that Bitcoin is being used for fraudulent activities.
Right.
What the? Bitcoin is being used for fraudulent activities, of course. But we do know that fiat is the master of fraudulent activities.
Yeah.
So you cannot put everything on. Anytime there is money, people are going to do crazy things with it. So you cannot blame Bitcoin for that. And then it's just one fraud, one story after another. Yeah. That was the initial attack against Bitcoin in the early days. They were sending developers or hackers to hack the exchanges. What the heck was Mt. Gox thinking, by the way? Trying to create an exchange. He got a better understanding of what Bitcoin was and immediately went and created an exchange. And that just opened up people to theft. Why didn't you go create a peer-to-peer solution if you really understood what Bitcoin was? Media fraud.
That guy had his own motives, man. It was insane.
Hey, just like Ethereum too. That guy was a freaking Bitcoiner initially.
Absolutely.
But as always, humans want to make too much money, and then they just start diverting. Number 2 on the list is the futures ETF that they threw at us last year with the $1 billion support. The future ETFs, as you guys know, once that got implemented, forget Bitcoin at 100K, man. That's not the win. The opposite direction. And that was another attack by the banking system, by the institutions that Bitcoin challenges. And of course, we saw what happened to Bitcoin after that. Then next, we had China and a bunch of other countries start banning Bitcoin. Again, another trend of the attack by the systems against Bitcoin. Bitcoin challenges communism. It challenges central banks to say that your money should be your money, not the bank's money, not the federal government's money. It's always been like that. But the fact that we've all been in the cage for 2 centuries, 3 centuries now,
2 centuries,
we don't even know how to actually, wait a second, why do you own my energy? Why do you own my resources? My resources should be my resources. And Bitcoin is trying to give that back to you and I. And that is why we are here trying to do the same thing, educate and inform people about what life is like outside of the cage.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of central banks there, recently the Bank of International Settlements released their plan for a CBDC. And when you look at it, you could almost say that these people consider themselves gods, right? And everything should rotate around them. So you cannot opt outside of this system without using this money that they issue to you.
The 0.1%, right?
Right, and that the way is designed, right? And they're not even hiding this thing. It strips your freedom completely, and stuff like that is stuff we cannot allow to happen because we just find ourselves in a place we don't want to be in the first place. So I think it's something that people should pay more attention to.
For sure. You know what's terrible?
Yeah.
Europe is in trouble, especially what's going on in Russia right now. Russia knows what the hell they're doing.
Right.
They know that they are spending money than what they actually develop. Their GDP is not catching up to the amount of loans that they've taken. So they're going to quickly have to switch to CBDC to compensate. Otherwise, they are screwed. And if the European people accept CBDC, they're even further screwed. You might not see it right away, but you'll see it. Kind of like how we switch from the gold standard to, hey, let's just print money anyhow. CBDC will do worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, 100%. It's a horrible thing. Well, moving on.
So next, they went for war against the exchanges. As you know, get the IO out to leave the US. Mt. Gox happened. A bunch of other exchanges got over. After that is true, the old regulatory, and some of this was the exchanges issue. We don't need freaking exchanges. I use them. I know I should find better ways because people want to trade Bitcoin. You don't trade Bitcoin. You can trade the other altcoins, so-called shit coins, because they make you money. They are technologies. They are businesses. Trade those like you trade the stock market. But Bitcoin provides a different solution outside of trading. But, we can't tell people what to do. It's a diplomatic or a democratic system.
Yeah, it's a free system. You can do what you want.
I don't think, anyway, I will stay out of that conversation.
Let's read some. Let's read some comments. Let's read some comments here. Let's see. Where did I even stop? I'm trying to capture where I
Ghetto
ended.
Crypto.
So we have Ghetto Crypto. He says peer-to-peer will be more adopted soon. Paxful is a good place to buy to start with peer-to-peer. Actually, this is true. Let me. There's a couple things. Paxful is great. I've actually been trying to use that. No KYC activity.
That's an explosion right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
Paxful.
You can't call out the buttons right now, bro. The sound deck is having problems. You cannot be calling out the buttons. I don't think it will work. Just let me see what I got. No, let's just leave it alone. It's not gonna work.
Okay.
Right now. I have to fix the buttons on the soundboard. But I will also say this: if you have Blue Wallet, right? This is very true because if you have Blue Wallet, recently Blue Wallet did an update and they now have Hodl Hodl. Embedded into this self-custody wallet, so you can buy no KYC Bitcoin on is it Blue Wallet? Yeah, on Blue Wallet. So I think that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Very true. The recycling guy says Buterin wrote much of the Python library for Bitcoin. Very talented, true, but very naive. Very true. Right? Is it possible the government is using the seized Bitcoins to short the market, keeping the Bitcoin price down? I mean, I won't put it past them. This is what they do. Yeah,
They have to.
Yeah.
It's against their infrastructural design.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Let's remember, the central banks control our government. So the governments basically say what those federal banks tell them to say.
This is true. Shota Zulu says, did Reggie Middleton drop his Coinbase report? I didn't know he was doing a Coinbase report. If he's doing one, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely gotta check that out.
Yeah. Well, carry on, sir. Did you have other attacks that we're seeing here?
Yes. So the next attack was the stablecoins for sure. Stablecoins are pegged against the dollar, which is another deficiency in the blockchain space. How do you say that we're trying to create a new ecosystem outside of the fiat system, but we are still pegged to the fiat system? So it was an easy challenge. It was an easy attack. And we all know, those of us that have been in the space for a while, once the bull market goes up, we all get into we get out of stable coins and we start investing in all the different blockchains out there, or investing in Bitcoin, riding it up. Once you have a bear market, you go pack it in a stable coin. I happen to be one of those people that got screwed up because, hey, I wanted yield, better yield for my money. And I went and packed it somewhere, and that stable coin got crashed. And there have been multiple attempts against stable coins, but there are literally billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, $600 billion, $700 billion packed inside UST. People were packed their money all over the place. So of course they attacked stable coins. All the mental, psychological attacks and financial attack at folks that wanted liberation from the system. Next now is the lending services. You see the attack against Voyager. You see the attack against Celsius. There's going to be a lot more. This Three Arrows Capital attack. How the hell does Three Arrows Capital have that much funding to be invested in crypto and nobody knows about the risk factor of this? That's a lot.
Well, I think it was also like the compounding thing. You remember back when we used to, when we were on Flux
and Compound?
Protocol?
Right?
Yeah. And we did this thing where we would move money into Flux, right?
Yep.
And then borrow against it, then take it to another platform. You put it on there, and then you can borrow from that one as well.
I
and
thought
you
it was
can keep
making
doing
money
the thing.
too. Yeah.
But the idea that people would do this with such large amounts of money is mind-blowing to me. The audacity, right? And
we know people that were doing it with a lot of money that literally paid their bills for a living doing that.
Yeah.
You just take a loan against your assets. And because of the assets are in the bullish market and they're still rising, you're great. And the leverage percentage, I think it executes at 80% or 70%. But now that the market has crashed as low as that, of course people are going to get, margin called.
Absolutely.
There was way too much leverage in the system. And it's not LD. That's not what Bitcoin was for.
There's still some leverage in there, that's for sure. But,
the charts are showing that.
The situation where they're giving out the Bitcoins, giving back the Bitcoins from the, what was it called? Mt. Gox attack? Yeah.
Yes,
I'm waiting to see how that
supply
unfolds.
attack.
Yeah, I think that may be an issue.
Yeah.
A little bit of an issue, not too much. But
So if we look at the general stock market, right? Let's look at demand and supply or see how the markets work. Oh man, we only have a minute left. Let me rush through this. So anytime there's a huge demand, right? Kind of like what happened to Target and Walmart, they're going to have to discount the price. so that they can get rid of the demand. In this
Right.
case, it's the exchange, right? So when Tesla or Apple introduce more shares to the market, there's a temporary deduction in the price of the stock before the next boom up, which could be Bitcoin had never seen this much Bitcoin get introduced back into the markets, and literally the plan is to go put it on the exchanges. And you know what happened to the exchanges in the bear market? I don't want to
Right.
start cussing people out. These suckers will
Yeah.
trade the sucker downside because they want to get it cheaper. That's
Yeah,
the way trading works.
I wouldn't.
So
I wouldn't even put it on an exchange after some of the disclaimers they had about, your. I mean, if once it's on the exchange, it's not yours anyway. So there is that.
exactly. So
Yeah.
and again, they're giving you back 142,000 Bitcoin, but 850 to 700,000 Bitcoin was lost.
Yeah.
So we should be lucky that only 142,000 is being introduced back into the space, and I think that could be done in a flash, literally in seconds. 142,000 Bitcoin is not a lot, but they're going to release all this media fraud and scare people out, and of course Bitcoin will do a little shakedown. But I have to say though, given the entire list that we've given today, Bitcoin has been doing quite well to survive all the different attacks.
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, all we see is just an effect on the price, which
Yeah.
I think the price. Look, yeah, I get it. We all want to make money, but the price is not the most important thing about Bitcoin. But for some of these other altcoins, they will not come back, right?
Some
And
will
they
not
can
come
be
back.
continuously attacked because they have a CEO. So I think it's worth it for people to take the time out and just really overview the whole situation again and see that Bitcoin keeps moving forward despite all the attacks, right? So, and it's good for it to keep getting attacked because every attack that fails, we now know that Bitcoin is secure in that way, right? So there is that. We'll read the final comments before we depart, sir.
Sir.
We have the recycling guy. Hit them likes for the guys. Please hit the likes. Thank you, recycling guy. Okay,
Like and
Please hit the
subscribe.
likes. Thank you. Subscribe. Just a lot of money being washed around and played with on these exchanges. Agreed. Move your money to your cold storage wallet, your Bitcoins. Right?
Yes, sir.
Love it. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen. Brazen out.
By the way, the Gentleman of Crypto is next after this. Check it
Yes.
out.
Well,
Double O.
absolutely. Greatest show ever is what I'll say.
Shizzle.